This is Recovery Lifestyles with Carmel. Recovery Lifestyles is committed to raising awareness and ending stigmas surrounding addiction and mental health. These are stories from women around the world who have overcome and are now living inspiring and on-purpose lives.
So I'm here today with Faith James, who is regarded and hailed as the queen of branding and has the case studies and the client love to back it up. She has over 25 years of experience being a Fortune 500 influencer to multinational brands like IBM, Microsoft, Pepsi, Mary Kay, Frito-Lay, Edward Jones, Wendy's Hamburger, Lindt Chocolate, and Liberty Mutual, just to name a few. Now, Faith, that is quite the resume. But there's also a story behind that. So you are, the epitome of what you achieved in the corporate world is what so many of us are striving for.
Right.
And I just want to hear from you. Share with us a little bit about your story, about who you are and why you do what you do today.
Yes, thank you so much, Carmel, for this opportunity to be with you and to share, my story with your audience, because I do think that it's something that a lot of people, maybe from the outside, they look and go, oh, it's all fab. But there is really a profound story in terms of how I've, sort of pivoted from corporate world to where I am right now, as I like to say, as a CEO of me. And there was sort of like a Saul moment, right? For those of us who reference the Bible, that sort of got me to this place. So, as Carmel said, I've spent 25 plus years in corporate America working in advertising, marketing, and branding. And, it's been something that I really feel purpose to do, because just to take us a little bit further back, I'm from the third world country, island nation of Jamaica. And when, people would hear Jamaica, they would have sort of like a preconceived notion in terms of, oh, it's like, banana boat, or you like, do you even have like paved streets with lights, or, you smoke, pot, like all of those kind of like traditional sort of, brand perceptions. And I knew that I needed to create and craft a persona for me that was more authentic to who I was, not where I was from, if anybody can relate with that. And so, fast forward from when I, came to this country and to the point where I'm now in university, I'm studying communications, and one of my classmates, she was a Latina, and she also got an internship with Channel 47 Noticias, but she also had got an internship with Ogilvy and Mather. And we were bumping into each other on Madison Avenue one day during lunch, and she was like, do you want this internship? I'm going to take the Noticias one, because that was more aligned with her. And I said, sure. So I literally, true story, hand to God, showed up with my resume and said, Annette's not going to make it, but I'm here. And so the woman was completely flabbergasted, sat down, read my resume, and said, sure, when can you start? And so that really was the pivot point, if you will, in terms of me leaving a job that I was doing just for making money while I was in college, to getting into this field of, advertising and marketing and branding. And, glory to God, I had a very successful opportunity. Like, who, for the first job that you have ever in advertising, lands on the IBM account, the global IBM account, where, I had to go to Paris for 4 months to work on, the small business campaign launch and, shoot with Joe Pitka, who's like, A-list director who shot, Space Jams. And I could go on and on and on. And life was great, and I thought life was fabulous. And I had, all of the accoutrements of like the fab life, and the 5,000 square foot home on the lake with the pool. It was just grand. And, for the longest time, that's sort of how I defined myself.
Yeah.
It's this like very, very successful kind of VP, corporate branding, add all the labels to it that you want. And then 2008 happened. And for those of us who are not old enough to know what that means, 2008 is when we had a near depression, right? The recession hit, and this fabulous life that I thought I was building, that I was quite honestly, if I'm being transparent with you and with your audience, was addicted to. because I loved the fab life. I loved all the accoutrements. I loved being able to do things like, oh, Celine Dion's last show, it's $1,000 per ticket. Hey, come, I'll pay for your tickets and your plane. Let's go to Vegas. Just spending all kinds of money, not really being a good steward of God's money, because it's his money at the end of the day. And 2008 happened, and I was in this like stark reality of, okay, so this massive 6-figure job that I, had and identified myself with is now gone. So I had to start like consulting and gigging and just, like I like to say, if I don't kill it, I don't eat. And, just kind of going through this like stress every day. Where am I going to get a gig? Where am I going to get it? Because I didn't have this 6-figure job to sort of, kick back on. And, typically for me, Sunday mornings are like sleep in, because I'd been out either partying Saturday night, doing fabulous things out till all sorts of hours in the morning. And this one Sunday morning, I was up at 6 o'clock. So completely unlike me, not the thing that I would normally do. And I flipped on the television, and it was a Joel Osteen sermon. And for whatever reason, God in his infinite wisdom knew I needed to hear this. And so he was talking about, his sermon was about this dad and this little girl who they would be taking the train and going to a particular place. So every morning they get to the train station. It's the same time. The dad hands her ticket. Monday, they go. Tuesday, show up at the train station, dad hands her the ticket, on and on. And then by Wednesday or Thursday, the story goes that she said, why don't you just give me all of the tickets? Because we do the same thing every day, right? We show up and you give me my ticket and we go. And the whole point of that sermon was that, the Bible says, the prayer says, give us this day our daily bread, not give me my annual lump sum. So I'd been living all this, like, my definition of who I was like how much money I made on an annual basis. But God was saying, look, you're in this valley right now. I'm going to give you exactly what you need for each day. And then I heard another sermon right after that from Dr. Charles Stanley. And he was talking about, having idols in our lives. And I was like, oh, I don't idolize anything. But like your credit score, the car that you drive, the clothes that you wear, the places that you live, the things that you do can become idols in your life. And that for me was, where I kind of found myself sort of this addiction, this definition of who I was, right? And that really just kind of convicted me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to get out of this big house that I've defined myself. I've literally built it from dirt, met with the builder, the whole thing. And that sort of quote unquote, that come to Jesus moment, where I had to really look at myself and go, okay, so who are you? Are you defined by this thing that you do? Or is it like you're going to be defined by who you are as a person, as a soul, purpose to live this life? And that was just such a transition for me, that it reshaped my focus on things. It reshaped my focus on my definition of who I was in terms of the eyes of other people, because I was sort of judged as being successful because I had these things. But really, how was it with my soul, right? How was it with my soul? And I hadn't, focused on my relationship, with God, with Jesus in any real way. So like I knew them. I would go visit them when I went to go see my mom in Atlanta, and we'd go to church, and it was all great, but it wasn't like core front and center. So for me, if we're thinking about from like, what are the things that you're addicted with, in life, and how do you sort of pull yourself from that? And I know maybe not everybody is, at that point yet, but I just want to say that for me, that was my Saul moment, right? Mm-hmm. Where Jesus is like, I'm going to blind you so you can like see. And that was the moment that I saw, that I realized that, I have so much more to give and to do and to be than be defined by these corporate shackles. And, that just sort of became the beginning of the end for me, where I then started to pivot myself to say, okay, how am I going to get this exit strategy? How am I going to not be, just working for the money, but as opposed to working for a purpose that, really fills my soul, that really brings me joy? And I can say honestly now, even though, of course, and you understand as an entrepreneur, like there's no day that you're not like, oh, I'm totally stress-free, right? There's all kinds of things that go on, but it's for me, it's for the thing that I know I'm here to do. So that for me was like a really, really big moment. So I'm hoping that resonates with, some of the audience in terms of just be open to the shift, be open to the change, because that for me, if that didn't happen, my addiction to the things, the lifestyle that I had, probably wouldn't have happened at that point. Maybe it would have happened later, but that for me was my, how we say, was in the industry, like you hit your bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That was for me, my bottom.
So I hear this story a lot. I really do. And amongst even coworkers that, you know, they've built this incredible life and they are searching. They're searching for something because they have it all. But there's this uneasiness and this emptiness. And what advice do you have for somebody who is maybe just on the verge of that? Because that's a scary place to be.
Oh my gosh. That is,
not everybody knows God or is even open to believing, you know, in a power maybe greater than themselves. But if you're open, I don't know. I guess let's just start with what advice would you give?
And that's that you just said it. Be open. Just be open. Because, you know, I never professed to have any real walk with, you know, real intimate relationship. Like I said, I just sort of knew God transactionally. When I needed something, I would like say, you know, but it wasn't this kind of like this daily walk that I'm on right now. And I'll tell you the thing that cemented it for me. This I tell this story and it always blows my mind when I do it. So because from those sermons that I watch, I was so convicted in my spirit, like, wow, this is so for me. And, you know, there I'm looking at, I've got to come up with $5,000 to $7,000 every month. I didn't have tons of disposable cash anymore. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to write a check for $25 to the Joel Osteen ministry, $25 to the Dr. Charles Stanley ministry. And at that moment, I had come to the understanding that I had to get out of this house. So I had already made the decision that I was going to put it on corporate lease. And when the leasing agent called me that evening, he said, you know, I'm bringing somebody tomorrow, but she doesn't want any water. My house sits on 3 different bodies of water.
Yeah.
Water feature, lake, pool. But he's like, I'm going to bring her anyway. So she'd already, by that time, she'd been looking at about 14 different homes. She came to the house, sight unseen. She signed a lease. I was only offering a year. She wanted a 2-year lease for this house. Her husband wasn't even with her. She just literally signed the paper, put the deposit. And I was like, wow, if there isn't a God, I don't know what else is going to show this to me, that God supernaturally closed her. She had 2 young little baby boys. That's why she didn't want any water.
Yeah.
2 young baby boys. And she leased my house for 2 years. And somebody said to me, it's like, oh my gosh, this house is going to sit for at least six months to a year because of the very nature of what it was. In less than 24 hours, Hermel, my house was leased for 2 years. And I was like, God is a good and faithful God, because I just took a little step of giving $25 to each ministry. And he showed up massively, $3,200 a month, least for 2 years in my life. And I was like, wow, that's it. God just showed himself mightily and powerfully to me. So now I need to like really lean in. So by the time we got out of the corporate, situation they're in, now I moved to Tallahassee. And I was like, okay, I need to find a church home. I need to like really build this relationship, because God's showing me that he can do miracles beyond what we can even think or expect.
Yeah.
And so I'd made a list of a couple of churches that I was going to go visit. And one that I went to, the very first one, was a small Methodist church in Tallahassee. And so I went, like the pews are like folding chairs, like small.
Okay.
And I heard the pastor, she's a woman pastor, she says, all I heard was communion. So it just like levitated. I got up. And then I only see like 6 people. Only 6 people kind of getting up, and I'm like, what's wrong with this church? Why don't they take communion? Like, what's wrong with them? As I'm going up, this woman, she's sitting at the end. She's like, oh, did you want to serve? Now, meanwhile, Carmen, this is my first time in Tallahassee in this church. These people don't know me from anywhere. And my answer was yes. The pastor called for the communion servers, not the whole church to take communion, the communion servers. So I get up. The woman who was supposed to be she's like, oh, do you want to go serve? And I said, yes, randomly. So there I am. The first day I'm looking for a relationship with my higher power, with God, which is I'm serving the blood of Jesus in a church where nobody's ever seen me before. The pastor.
And you're not meaning to.
Totally not meaning to. I'm thinking I'm going up for communion. And it just was so divinely ordained. And the pastor, she did not blink. She didn't flinch. She just handed me the chalice, and she was just like, okay. And I'm like, the blood of Christ. And I was just like, wow. I'm like, this is now my home church, because they could have just said, what are you doing? And afterwards I went up and apologized, and I said, I'm so sorry. It was, and she said, I knew God was doing a work. And so I just stood back. Wow. That became my path to where I am now. I mean, before, I'd never been reading the Bible in any real sense. Now every year I read the cover to cover. Every day I get up, I have devotional time, and it's just been so powerful in my life that and I know sometimes people can't understand it. It's like, well, what does that mean? And I said, you know what, just be open.
Yeah.
Just be open to receive. Just be open to say, you know what, I don't even understand these these and thous. I'm like, get like a new version, which is what I use to make it make sense for you.
Yeah.
But to just be open. And I have seen how I have gone from literally being a me-focused person, me, how much money can I get? How many things can I accumulate? How much awesome stuff can I buy? Where can I go? To now, I am just like, literally, I see myself, though I'm in a business for myself as a CEO of me, I'm the hand and feet of Christ, because even with my branding and my coaching that I do for my clients, I literally train from scriptures in the Bible, which is one of the reasons when we talked earlier before we got on the show about my book that I'm writing, God is my brand strategist. A lot of people, want to know, how is it that you build this brand? Like, you started, my brand in essence started CEO of me 2016, 2017. Before that, I was like corporate girl all day long. And to go out on your own, which, we were talking about, people at that point where like, you feel like you want to. I tell you what I did. I was just in the knowing of like, this is a thing that I'm purposed to do. This is a thing that lights me up. So if you're trying to figure out, is this the thing that I would do? Just see yourself 5-10 years from now. If you're doing this thing that you're trying to do, does that still make you happy? Or you're like, oh my gosh, I would be so bored. I couldn't do this for 5. Then that's not your thing. You got to find the thing, not only that you're passionate about, not only that you're really, really good at, that you're expert at, but the thing that also can bring money to your family. And when you find those 3 in one area, then that's what you really, really are meant to be doing. And then just kind of go into, even if you have to step it, like my first branding workshop that I had, which was on a Sunday, was over by, let's say, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, I was heading to the airport to get on a flight to go to my corporate job. So I made the intention to do it while, so you do your exit strategy. You figure out, this is what I want to do. I'm going to take these inspired action, these little steps along the way, until you get to the point where you're able to say, yeah, I'm so certain right now. And listen, I had to give up a lot of things, right? You're talking about, I had to give up, so many things to be able to afford this new lifestyle of not having all the big accoutrements, but still being very happy, like joy-filled and passionate about what I'm doing and smiling, more often than not. And so I would just encourage, your audience, if this is something that resonates, it's like, find the thing that you love. Find the thing that lights your soul on fire. This is what I say to my clients. Make a list of the things that you would get up on a Saturday morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's rainy and it's cold for you, like you're in Canada, right? And it's snowy.
It's very, very cold. Very
cold and snowy, but you would get up to go do this thing. That's when you start to chip away at the things that you're really, really passionate about. And then just really just go for it. And listen, and just like, the Bible says, if you delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. Just ask him. Just say, God. And this is what I do. Sometimes people think, how do you take these steps? How do you know? And I just say, you know what? God, if this is what you want for me, let this be fruitful. Let this just bring total abundance. But if this is something that's going to hurt or harm me and I can't see it, keep it away from me. So I just move forward knowing God's got me.
Yeah.
So
what about somebody who is listening and they maybe don't believe in God? They have no experience with God, and they're in this situation and they have it all, but they feel empty. Because as soon as you turn on Instagram, as soon as you turn on the TV, you walk through a mall, right? You all of a sudden have this like feeling like you need it all. I want it all. Like it's going to validate yourself in some way. And how do you detach from that What is a simple step that somebody could do, or what was it for you? I know it was God for you and your incredible experience, but what about that person who is feeling lost? And
I would say, and I mean, literally, Carmel, I've got like several. Do you see these? A bazillion journals.
I have the same. I think I have the same journal as you.
Show me.
I'm like, I think I do that same flower one.
I want you to find it.
Well, I don't find it now. I'll find it after, because that is hilarious.
I would say, get a journal, any journal, blank piece of paper, and just like write your gratitude.
Oh.
Write your gratitude. What do you have to be grateful for? Because here's what that does for you. As you start to really dig in and list the things. Okay, so we can go from grateful to wake up. I'm grateful that I have breath. I'm grateful that I have, my family and but as you kind of dig into it deeper, you'll start to see some supernatural things happen. Like, I'll just give you an example. I had written in my journal, my big 2019, I tell everybody to do this. Set your goals for 2019, but also your brand words. Like, what are the words for you that define your year? So for me last year it was elevate. Mm-hmm. And everything that I did, I used that as a filter. Like, how is this elevating my business? How's this elevating my brand? From a perception standpoint. This year, it's like global scale and automation. So here I am. Look, I've manifested it. I'm on a global platform because you're in Canada. So this is not like national, right? It's like international. Little thing, and that's a perfect example. That I journal that wow, I have like attracted somebody from another country into my world. That is something to be grateful for. Mm. And don't God says never despise small beginnings. Be grateful for every single little thing. So my word was global scale and automation. And I had a friend, well, she's a client and a friend, come to I do these monthly branding over lunch workshops and mastermind, where, we have like 40 plus women, mostly women, but some enlightened men, at this location on the beach, at the restaurant. And I said, bring a friend, it's January, bring a friend free. So she brought a friend who was visiting her from Austria. Ooh. Who speaks, her native tongue is German. Mm-hmm. Her English is okay, but it's not fluent the way you and I are.
Right.
She attended Branding Over Lunch. I made the offer to do a free brand discovery session with me. She did that. Next thing I know, she's enrolled in my 6-month Platinum Branding Experience program. I would have no eyesight on this woman. First of all, I didn't know she existed. Couldn't have been like, oh yeah, I sent her an Instagram thing. Nothing. God put her in front of me because I did my journaling and my gratitude. Like, God, this year I want to grow my business. I want to scale my business, but I also want to do it in an automated way. So I'm not just every little thing I have to do. Yeah. And he put this woman. So for me and for others who may be like, oh, it was coincidence. No, there's no, if you spend time just thinking about all the good things in your life, you'll see that a lot of them are not just coincidence, because I don't know this woman. I could have never planned this. She speaks, literally, I'm coaching her, like what I'm doing stuff on her Facebook. It's all in German. I'm like, okay, what does that word say? I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at my version of my Facebook and I'm like, okay, maybe only God could have me be coaching a client who's in Austria, who speaks German, and she is my private one-on-one client, and I don't speak German fluently. Only God can do that. Yeah. So when you just look and just start making a list of things, you'll see these supernatural things that just happen, because there's no other way to explain it. And so just for the allowing, I would just say, listen, a lot of times we don't know things. People go, oh, turn on that light switch, because somebody says, if you do that, light's going to come. Mm-hmm. You don't go, wait a minute now, I don't understand how that would work. That's just a little plate. Come out? Yeah. That's just a little plate switch on the wall. I don't understand. We don't do that. Somebody says, turn on that light. We're flicking that light on, and we know light's going to come from the sky.
Yeah.
So it's the same way. I'm just saying, just those of you within the sound of my voice, just flick the switch off, flick the God switch on. You don't ask, well, how does it work? How does that little white plate connect to the breaker So then the light comes through this light bulb and it illuminates, but the house doesn't burn down. You don't ask all those questions before you flick the light switch on, right?
Yeah.
Somebody says, turn this on, this room's going to light up. I'm telling you, flip on the God switch, your life is going to light up. Just be open and let the allowing happen for you. Because if you're searching and you're looking for something and you haven't found it, I would say the same mind and the same heart that's kind of got you into a place that's stuck is not the same mind and the heart that's going to get you out of it. Try something different. It's like, you know what, you've never had, pasta fagioli before, give it a try. Spaghetti and meatballs might be great, but try the pasta fagioli, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Just give it a try. I always say you've got nothing to lose, because what happens? God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Jesus was a fable.
And I hear what you're saying is just to get out of your way. Get out of your own way and trust really is the key to making that change.
Absolutely. Like I said, for me, I was nobody would ever say Faith was a Jesus girl before, like maybe they wouldn't. It's like, oh yeah, she's, I'm not an atheist. Like they would say that about me for sure, but they would never say, oh my gosh, she's a hand and feet of Christ. And so that's the transition that I've been on, and it showed up massively in my business, in my life, and the people that I attracted. I have and again, more of these supernatural examples of when you just try to just be like Jesus. I have a photographer who, she has never charged me. You can appreciate this as a photographer. You know what it costs to shoot
yes.
events, hours on end. She's never charged me for any event she's shot for me, any photo she's done for me, because of one small thing that Jesus says: when you support and treat the least of these, you support and you treat me. She's a Latina. Her English is very limited, very, very, very limited. She showed up to a Chamber of Commerce event, and with my limited Spanish, I was like, I spoke to her. I tried to speak to her. I have her sit with me, made her feel welcome.
Yeah.
Just that one little thing. If you want to say it's like a good Samaritan thing, whatever, just that one little thing impacted her so much that I would take the time. I didn't know her from anywhere. And to try to make her feel welcome in this big, chamber of, how these Chamber of Commerce events go, they're massive.
Yeah.
Nobody was focusing on her. And so then just that little small deed, which is what would Jesus do? Jesus would try to welcome her and make her feel, part of the community, that she just moved here from Puerto Rico and doesn't speak the language. Has been a rock in my business, for photography, for all of my branded elements. Untold. So, just express the gratitude. Just be open. Get out of your own way. The same mind, as I said, that got you here is not going to get you out. And just do it. Just crack. Like I said to you before we got on air, crack open the Bible. Just let it come.
Yeah. Well, I love everything that you've shared today. And I just find that your story is incredibly inspiring. You've come so far in your journey. And I trust that whoever is listening, I don't think I want to say whoever, everyone listening will really receive from you. And I trust that they will receive what they need from your message. And so if there's anyone out there who would like to get in contact with you, and I know that you have a gift that you'd like to offer them, would you like to share that with us? How can they do that?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things when I talked about sort of moving into this servant position, I love to give of myself and give of services. So for every and anyone within the sound of my voice, within the sound of Carmel's voice, I'm going to be doing a free personal branding training. It's going to be focusing on, so think of it this way. I'm literally going to open up my office, my secret passcodes, everything that I'm doing, from tactics to what am I doing for automation? What am I doing from a lead magnet standpoint? What am I doing from these workshops that I do that get people to say yes to me? This new client that I have 2 months now, from Austria. She's met me one time and signed up for a $9,000 package. Your brand has to be so built and on fire and communicating the right messages for somebody who doesn't speak your native language to say yes to you. I'm going to show you everything that I'm doing on this free Zoom coaching. And you're going to put the link up on the
website. I'll have the link available under this video.
Yeah, the link will be available. Just go ahead and click on that. It's going to be, it'll say when you click on it, you go to the message and it'll say get started. That allows you to get onto the list because that's where I'll be sending the invitation out from. And so if you even think that you're thinking about maybe learning something about growing your business or your brand, get on it. It's free. There's nothing for you to lose. You get on. If you register, you're going to get the recording either way, but you have to get on that list. So that's going to be, we only have 100 seats, and I already have like a bunch of people who've already said yes, because it's actually kind of like my birthday gift, because yesterday was my birthday.
Ah, happy birthday. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I mail that out to my database, and so I'm offering the same gift. It's sort of just, it's everything that I have, that I am, that I'm doing that's, made me successful. I want to just share it with you, because there's so much opportunity for so many people want to get out of this corporate rat race and get into their purpose and their passion. And so if I can be of any help to just giving you maybe some seeds of inspiration or some tactics or some strategies, that's my gift to your audience.
Well, thank you. I that's huge and valuable. So I appreciate you for that as well. So is there anything on your heart that you would like to share before we wrap up?
I just, I want to just use like the Nike tagline, just do it.
Love
like
it.
You've come to this show either on purpose or an accident. Either way, it's all purposed.
Yeah.
There was something here that you were supposed to hear. There was something here that was supposed to spur you into a little bit of action. I always say, how do you complete a 20,000 mile march? You do it one step at a time. So even if just the one step is to say, let me just look at this Bible thing that they're talking about. Or, I'll listen to what she's saying on this free Zoom thing. Or maybe I'll start thinking about making a list. I encourage everybody to do this. Just get a blank piece of paper, and at the top of it, just put deeply passionate, and just list the things that you're deeply passionate about. It doesn't even have to be something that you're doing right now, because sometimes that's what we limit. We're like, well, I went to school for accounting. Yeah. So anything that I love, I should say it has something to do with numbers. Otherwise, if I say I want to be a missionary, or I want to be like a kindergarten teacher, people are going to look at me like I'm crazy. Don't let the people's perception of you guide you, because that's where a lot of us fall into those traps.
Yeah.
The shoulds and we ought tos. I encourage you to just get a blank piece of paper, deeply passionate, and just let the pen flow, let the pencil flow. Speak from your heart, feel into your heart. If you love travel, write travel. If you like reading, write. If you love children, just let it flow and see what shows up, because there might be something in there that inspires you to say, you know what? I am going to take little inspired action to finally get this photography business that I, or this craft business, or, this painting business, whatever it might be. So just do it. Whatever comes to your heart, just do it.
Love it. Just do it. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time today, Faith. And
my joy, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great.